You're not living your own life. You're performing it for an audience rather than being fully present. Man, what is going on? It's David back again. This is part 4 of the Disconnection series. I apologize for the hiatus. And in all honesty, the hiatus is exactly why I'm making this video. This video is going to be about what other people think, people's judgment of you, and letting that fear hold you back from doing what you want to do. And part of the hiatus was exactly that. I have been extremely busy. I have had to move out of my own office so that my mother-in-law can spend about a month in here. I've been wrapping up a marathon and I got hit with some big news in other parts of my life, and I've just been so busy. And being busy, I felt that like the production of my content wouldn't be top notch, and I let that fear of people's judgment and clicks and views and engagement really hold me back, right? So this fear of others people's judgment, does that stop you? Does that hold you back? Because if it does, that means you're not living your own life. You're performing it for an audience rather than being fully present. And that is the one thing that I'm trying to exemplify right now by doing this video, because rather than just dwelling on the fact that I haven't been making content, that I've been delaying it and being in my head about it, you just get right back on the horse and you do it. So today I woke up, I'm wearing my Arsenal jersey, I'm feeling so blessed. Shout out the Gunners. We won the Premier League. So as we talk about this fear of others people opinions and thoughts and judgment on us, I want to go a little bit further on that. Where did this lie start, right? How did this even become a thing in our life, right? So for me, personally, I was raised with strict parents with really high standards, and it was a blessing for sure. It raised me and it shaped me to who I am today as a person, but it could also be detrimental, right? It created a lot of pressure with strict Asian parents and that focus on academics. I skipped a grade, and at first that can sound like a flex, but it really wasn't, because as the smallest or the youngest kid in the classroom that was known particularly for academics, I had to perform. Eyes were on me, right? Whether that was teachers or kids that were thinking to themselves, who is this guy? And this is what I thought, right? Like, I thought that I had to perform for the teachers, for my peers, because that's who I was. And this performance lived on throughout college into my professional career, right? I was blessed enough to be scooped up at an early stage in my career into a senior leadership group, and I was working with like senior directors and VPs early on in my career. But because of that, because I felt like I was excelling, I wanted that leadership position 3, 4, 5 years into that role. I wanted to be compensated like my leaders, but I also wanted to lead like those leaders that I was working with, because I was delivering same, if not more value. But I was pushing boundaries and I was driving insights. So I felt like I had earned the right to lead, earned the right for more compensation. But I was always told by my superiors, especially my boss, that hey, you gotta put in your time, you gotta earn your stripes, you gotta have more experience, you gotta be a little bit older. So I became that support guy, not because I wanted to, not because it was comfortable, but because everyone was just telling me the same thing, right? Others people's opinions of me kept me there. And it wasn't until I hit rock bottom, right, that I really just figured out that I was just living a lie, right? And the worst part is I brought in a lot of people with my network, with my reputation into the company. And when I hit rock bottom, when I didn't get that leadership position, when COVID hit, everyone was in their heads about fear and anxiety and BLM and all that. I remember just being at rock bottom, and those people that I called close friends and peers and colleagues never really reached out. Not one of them. But that was a blessing, because I became a dad. But the lie came along with me on that journey. I started wearing a dad hat because I wanted to hide the fact that I wasn't completely successful as a trader yet. I wasn't completely profitable yet. And I wore that trading hat because I didn't want to be a stay-at-home dad without a paycheck. Two of them were just masks hiding who I was, but neither of them were true. And here's how deep this lie goes, right? Because after having baby number one, I was making content. I had created this channel after having my firstborn, and I had something to say. I was blessed to be a father, and I was enjoying the journey so much, and I wanted to share that experience in my content. I wanted to talk about the things that make a good father, and obviously fitness was one of them. But I was in my head about that too, right? I had fear about what other people would think. Like, hey, this guy doesn't have an elite enough of a physique to be talking about fitness. This guy doesn't have a wild before and after transformation story to really draw and engage an audience. And I killed the channel. And that's crazy to me because back then, I was hitting 295 on the bench, 315 on squat, pushing 500 on deadlift, and I had hit a 148 half marathon. And none of these numbers are elite, but I'm telling you this, 90% of the fitness space would kill to put up benchmarks like this, right? And still, I killed the channel because I was in my head about that. I was like, hey, what would people think of me talking about fitness, but I don't have a transformation story yet. I don't have an elite physique yet, right? And because of that, I didn't have permission to speak. And that's what I told myself, and I killed the channel. But look at those numbers. They were never the problem. The scale was fear and the goalpost was judgment. And every time I came close, I would always move the goalpost. Not a single person, not any follower count or amount of money in the bank would have ever changed or been enough for me because I was the one that was moving my goalposts. In the Bible, the book of Acts, chapter 3, verse 6, Peter looks at the man at the gate and says, "Silver and gold I do not have, but what I do have, I give you." I didn't have the elite physique. I didn't have the crazy transformation story, but I had something to say. And that's enough. But back then, I wasn't guided by the word. I wasn't guided by the Spirit. That's what I want to remind you today. And then one day I prayed for an answer. I prayed that I could have a different opportunity. Money was a little bit tighter. There was a little period of economic drawdown and turmoil with the changing of administrations, and I was struggling with my trading. And I prayed for an answer. I prayed for provisions for my family, and I got a guru who gave me a sales job to sell Medicare to the elderly. And what was hurtful was I almost walked through that door and took this opportunity. I walked in far enough to see that it wasn't what I wanted to do. It wasn't aligned in my heart, in my spirit, in my soul. They're fake promises and the pressure closes and preying on the elderly with scammy leads. Sales machine underneath all this talk about enlightenment, a guru with a script and a framework built on sand. And that was when I knew it wasn't for me. And this was when I realized that God slammed that door in my face. Hard. Not slowly, not gently, with emphasis. And at first I thought I was being punished. At first I thought that I wasn't deserving of provision, right? I thought I did something wrong. I thought this was punishment for me. But I had it backwards. God wasn't saying no to me. He was saying no to the version of me that would have walked through that door and took that opportunity. So the door slamming in my face wasn't rejection. It was a rescue. And when I look back on every closed door, every single time somebody said no, every single time a project fell apart or business with friends didn't work out and backfired, it was all pointing me here, pointing me back to the word, pointing me back to God, pointing me back to my family, to building something real instead of performing something impressive and fake or something that wasn't aligned with my heart and who I am. Because I'll tell you this, I ain't no Medicare salesman preying on no old people, you know? So let's name the audience out loud, because when we name the audience, they don't have power over us anymore. And it's not a big crowd. It's very specific. And I don't have any ill will towards these people, but I let them live in my head rent free, right? It's those bosses that I was working with at Ultimate Software that said, hey, you're too young to lead. I'll remind you this, I'm the one that kept that private equity deal on the table for you guys to get that stock payout. Keep that in mind. It was my trading friends that, putting up those big P&Ls that I felt like I had to keep up with, letting their numbers dictate the way I trade. They inspire me to trade harder for sure. But I'm not going to be fearful of them thinking about what I'm putting on the table. It is a guy that I thought was my brother, a mentor, and a coach, but it turned out to be just a guru, giving me fake promises of a sales job, and his wife, who kicked me out of that community gym that I was helping build, letting them make me feel some sort of way about the value I brought to the gym. None of them care about me. They go to sleep at night not thinking about me, right? Not thinking about what I do, what I did, what I offered. So why am I letting them dictate what I do next, right? Why am I letting this imaginary audience dictate my next move, what I should be building, what I should be focusing on, right? Paul said in Galatians 1 verse 10, am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ. The audience that you're actually accountable to is 3 deep. Yesterday, I commented on someone's post and they said the audience is one, it's you. I think that's wrong too. It's 3 deep, right? It's God first. It's you. It's your family. Forgot the crucial thing. God. God first always. Because without God, there isn't no you. And that's the whole list, right? Only 3 in that audience. It's not those other people on social media watching fitness content. It's definitely not your coworkers and your boss because they don't care about you. They're just only pushing their own agendas to get their own personal growth. And to people around you who pretend that you are of value only to use you to get free coaching or help make content or build a community. When things get shaky, how do they act? That's it. Small audience. Don't worry about the rest because that's just noise. Noise that you're voluntarily letting get into your head to dictate the way you move next. And the day that you really believe that you're the only one voluntarily letting the noise affect you is the day that you stop auditioning and you start building. Because my daughter is going to be watching. My daughter is going to be watching me build this thing. Not only my daughter, my son too. Like both of my kids and my third one on the way. They're going to be watching me in real time building. They're going to see whether I perform for strangers or if I'm building something real, living my life authentically for them, right? They're going to see whether I edit my life for an audience or live it for God. They are downloading that frequency right now. And if I live my life afraid of what people think, they will too. But if I build anyways, they will learn that this is what a man does. This is a man with a purpose, right? The fear doesn't go away. We just stop letting them dictate and have the final word. I'm a man rooted in Christ now, and I move without fear, not because the fear isn't there anymore, but because the audience got demoted. God didn't open the door that I was praying for. He slammed it shut in my face because I was about to walk through. I was about to be an idiot. I was about to take this sales job because I thought it was going to be the quick shortcut to making money. But I'll tell you this. I am so blessed and I am so glad because insurance salesman Dave doesn't sound right to me and it don't align with my heart. And that was the answer. That was the rescue that I was looking for. And now I am back home. I am walking with God step by step. Next week, guys, the last lie, the last part of the Disconnect series. It's not the right time. Hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss it drop. And hit the comment section, guys. What is the audition that you're tired of performing and who is that audience that you are giving them power to dictate how you should be moving? Till the next time, guys.